The Yellow Brick Road. This video does not reflect the actual views of real people. These are actors playing a role to entertain audiences. No persons or animals were harmed in the making of this video. Gosh, I love YouTube and I love Google.
Yeah. Cool. Look, it's a cardinal sin.
What?
Staring at the camera.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Oh, is it?
It's usually, I got so used to the camera being over here. Over here.
It's a nice shirt.
Yeah. Fuck the Yankees, by the way.
Give me the shirt back.
If I wear this shirt, it's just missing neck.
Take the shirt off. No freaky.
Or I have superpowers and then under here is static shirt man.
Or it's,
oh my god!
I make people run away when I take my shirt off.
So I was on my way to sleep last night and
I've been there.
I was like, Jamarl Thomas went live. And I was...
Was it live?
It was live.
Oh.
And I was thinking, yeah, let me check this out before I pass out. And then in the title I saw something, I saw the word morality. So I'm like, oh, I'm interested in what he thinks about this shit. So we start off with a clip of Noam Chomsky talking about moral relativism. And after the Chomsky clip, he added his own opinion on morality. He's basically saying that it's not a real thing.
It isn't.
Yeah, he was disagreeing with Chomsky's point that morality is something that is innate. It's natural. It's a natural sense of things. I agree with that, but I don't like the way Chomsky goes about it. I believe he puts it in terms of biology and whatever. Evolutionary biology, probably. But what Jamarl says, I basically had to make this video responding to it.
Are you gonna fight him or something?
Yeah, we're fighting.
Oh.
Like, I'll snatch that hat off your head.
He's like, oh, like this you try. Takes off the hat, turns out. Says prison day or something like that. It's like, you don't know my fighting experiences. Little do you know. Like underneath his desk, he's like a barbell. He's just going like that. That's why you only see like half his body. Like always, you never see anything else. Like, why do you think I always wear what is that? A blazer? No.
It's hipster, man.
Whatever. That's why you always see like even his head has muscles moved parts. That's why he has that hat on. Yeah. It's like
all right, we are skipping his joke to get on with the video.
It's not a joke.
Yeah.
But you get his point. This idea that morality is somehow
I'm starting this, like, I don't even know if I started at the right point, but hopefully it is. To where he gets into his argument. I believe I did. Let's go.
inherent. That it's not an external thing. There are structures within the person that tends to trend towards morality. A few things. If you were in the wilderness, or if you were just in a normal day, and this argument doesn't fully work, but it works under normal circumstances if you weren't necessarily plugged into anything. If you were unplugged, you would witness, let me say it this way. If you were in some country that is somewhat unplugged, you wouldn't come across relativity either.
I don't know what you mean by unplugged. Let's start there.
Unplugged from society, maybe? Societal norms.
See if he clarifies.
Yeah.
But it's real. Meaning, the faster you go, getting to this kind of relativistic speech. Noam Chomsky was making the point that you don't see more relativism in regular life. I'm saying that there are plenty of things that you don't come across in everyday normal life that exists. That's the first point. The second point,
And I just went over
he
that.
makes this
Yeah.
thing of we have a limited view of behaviors, or we're seeing a limited thing of behaviors, and we're taking this disparate information and we're coming to this idea, or we're making leaps, kind of like science, that, you know, it's like, where did morality come from? Okay, morality came from culture. Where did culture come from? That type of stuff. And I don't necessarily dislike that. And in fact, I would even go there. Let's have that conversation. Let's have it from there. Let's start from there, in fact, because I think this kind of goes against what Chomsky is saying here. If he thinks it all the way through, and maybe he did, maybe I'm wrong on this, but fuck it, let's do it. Let's start here. If there's no God, there's no point. Now, meaning, if there is no God, there is no point. There's no purpose. It's like if a person built a hammer. They built a hammer with the whole point of hammering, or I have this ink pen with the idea of writing, or stabbing somebody in the eye if somebody tried to break into the room and try to attack my wife or myself. But a human being. Who made a human being? If there is no God, there is no point. Meaning,
I did it.
What do you think about
He just doesn't know that I did it.
that? No, about his point.
I got kind of caught off guard with the whole. If someone broke into my house, I'd stab him in the eye. It's like, huh?
He's saying, if there is no grand creator,
Yeah, I heard.
there is no point to it.
Yeah, I disagree. There's no grand
I-
creator.
I agree with that.
I
But
don't know what he means by it. Like, if there is no
This
grand
is-
creator.
this is where I disagree. Because I think he's using strictly the biblical, religious God.
That's what I meant.
Well, we've proven that guy doesn't exist.
That's what I meant in
So
regards of.
there is no God, thus there is no purpose.
What I meant was, like, it sounded like he was going towards the fundamentalist route of grand creator, and I'm like,
Well, he just says God, straight up.
fair enough. I don't know. It's like I need more to say I agree or disagree.
Yeah, let's hear more.
who made a human being? If there is no God, there is no point. Meaning the person is somewhat radically free to be what that person is going to be. So God is taken off the table in these type of discussions.
You have to define God and tell me what you mean by that. You can't just say God is off the table if we have 10 million different religions out there
That can mean God, like,
and belief systems. You can mean the universe.
that's what I usually go with.
You can mean a million different things. Alright.
The second point that I want to hit at, and to be fair to Chomsky, God wasn't brought into it, but this idea of built-in structures, this idea of and look, even some of this I agree with him on. Like, so the first part that he's saying, I agree with all that. That culturally we are kind of raised to have certain ideas of our world and everything else from our culture. Those things are built into us, implicit, explicit experience. Our society, for the most part, makes us in large part who we are, whether we're pushing against the society or whether we're accepting the agreements that the society put forth.
What's the proper? No, not the proper. I mean, like, commonly say, you are a what?
Product of your environment.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, yes and no. You know.
I almost say no. When
I-
you're going
I-
into
I-
this argument,
Okay.
that means you're entering this realm, which means that does not hold up.
What I mean is, as far as, well, like when I hear, let's say when you hear objectivity, you know. So when I say, like, you're a product of your environment, it's like, well, no, because you have choice. But does your environment, like, you know, like, kind of like influence whatever you like? Maybe. Sure, I'd say so. Like, let's say, like,
No,
no.
I disagree. When we're talking about this realm, he's talking about morality, right? And he's talking about innate morality, like we're born with it. We're born with a sense of morality. If we're entering that realm, then the environment doesn't dictate what you like. What it does is it gives you content for for you to choose likes and dislikes. That's completely different.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
That's completely different than the environment saying,
Fair enough. Fair
all we
enough.
play is rap music around here. You like rap music.
Well, I meant like, you know.
Like, oh, you like this too? That means you
More
got it from here. The
Maybe
environment.
more I meant was with more familiar. Maybe I shouldn't have said like, but
Oh, it's just content to make a choice with.
right. But what I try to go with is whenever like if he like even if he said God or someone said like that, like product of this or that, I'd always want like, you know, like more to it, like them kind of like you know giving me some like content with that, just so I can like kind of a basic understanding of like what do you mean? Do you mean this? Do you mean that? You know, because it's like you're like I could get what you mean. You know.
And let's put it this way: if there is a choice of like and dislike, that means there's a chooser, which means that chooser already knew what it liked. Does that make sense? Your ego's like,
It makes sense because you like a while ago you were like da 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 da. I'm like okay, I get it.
well, your ego's like, oh, I just learned this now, I like it now. I just met this thing.
Yeah.
Let's call it rap music. I just met rap music and I like it. That's the ego of cause and effect and, you know, time, linear time. Then there's the, okay, does that ego have free will? Most people, most intellectuals, and I would include myself in this, not that I'm an intellectual, but
I heard you the other day.
I would agree with their ideology that the ego does not make the choice, which is why you hear people arguing for there is no such thing as free will.
I mean the trains.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no such thing as free will.
One train goes this way, the other train will follow.
Yeah. And my thing is, yes, there is free will. It's just the ego's, for most people, the ego's unaware of where the choice is coming from. It's an innate, I like this for some reason. And then they pile on evidence to say why they like it. Like they hear a rap song for the first time, like, I like this. Like innately, somewhere deep down.
Evidence?
Somewhere deep down, they're like,
It wouldn't be evidence for you though, right? If you're trying to explain it to somebody, right? I mean,
well, I'm saying, I'm separating the ego and that innate sense of you hear that or you smell that or whatever, and it's like, I like that. And then over time, your ego piles on evidence. Like, do you hear the drum patterns in this shit? Do you hear that?
yeah.
That's them gathering evidence to support their already innate choice that they like this
It's
thing.
like play the horn back.
Let me restep. Not an innate choice, but and innate already was there. It just needed content to attach to. That's gonna seem so woo-woo to people.
Why? Hey man, it's like
You're like, what?
through like 10 rounds. It's like
What?
it's like all 3 rounds, and you're like, it's like 12 rounds already though. It's like permanent. No, but I can take all that and go okay. My poor choice of words are probably more to the like I have a tendency to do like poor choice of words sometimes. So
You have a tendency towards metaphor, which is fine. It's just some people's minds don't want to move towards like that's not real.
that's their fucking
Why are you
problem.
talking about sandboxes? We're talking about physics here.
It's their fucking problem. I don't give a fuck. Okay, so
Well, I'm just saying.
well, yeah, but what I meant was like as regards of someone saying you're a product of your environment. It's like well, let's look. Okay, like I can. What I say like okay, well, I'm not gonna say well you're wrong. That doesn't like that's not true. It's like well, maybe I end up saying that, but I get to the root of what do you mean by that, you know, versus like what does prototypically this mean versus what do you mean, you know.
Yeah, that's the whole fucking
Like that goes
convoluted
well,
fucking
yeah.
content flying everywhere because everyone's so unique.
That's why I try to say like yes and no, versus like when someone says like you know what's objectivity or like oh I know what you mean man. It's like no you don't. You don't know what I mean.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. Like you don't know. What are you a mind reader? Like what? It's like I get it. Calm down. You know. That's what I try to go with. That's why I try to be like a little careful. You know, which as far as like again, assuming.
Yeah.
But this whole thing, as far as it not being like ingrained, it's like very interesting.
That's one point where I can see if someone's never taken that step towards those ideas, they're very sophisticated ideas, but never even step towards it. You may have given it like a quick, oh, let me look at this and then go about my day.
I'm gonna fall down the stairs. That's real
That-
fun.
Yeah, well, those ideas like that, those ideas like that, I understand. I'm okay with. It's later on where he goes, where I'm like, nah.
I feel like sometimes,
like,
you know,
man, children might understand this
Sure.
better than
for me,
what you're saying.
well, yeah,
Hold on,
that's why I like to
Let
use
me
that.
add the-
like toddlers over here.
let me add the disclaimer first.
Yeah.
That at the very beginning of this video, Jamarl says he's basically trying to make an argument. Like, I could be proven wrong. I'm just trying to make an argument for
Yeah.
it. Stuff like that. So,
But it's when he says it isn't. It's like,
well, he's trying to
I understand.
compel an argument. Right.
But, you know, push downstairs. It's like, hey, look down here. You guys like, back is like, it could be pushed, but it probably won't happen. So you go, suck his best get pushed. And worst comes to worst, fall downstairs, turns off the lights, close the door as he's falling down. So, not him, but
Yeah.
Agreed.
the metaphor.
Now the question becomes the structures and whether or not that morality per se that he's talking about is internal or if it's some kind of external process that Chomsky is looking at and is considering is internal. Now at one point, I agree that they're motor neurons or mirror neurons, things in our heads that reflect what's taking place on the outside of us. So if you're a reflecting area of trust, peace, and love, then people may be hippies. In a situation where there's riots and chaos, people kind of flip out and take on the behaviors of the people that are around them.
Hippie.
There needs to be an observer first, Jamarl.
Get a job.
There has to be an observer, content. Then they apply the content to the observed.
It just means I'm a hippie. That's it.
Right? It's the observer, shoots through the ego, the ego observes, then the content reflects back as through their filter, like if someone smiles or frowns at you, like, oh, he's angry, or oh, he's happy. And then it becomes that. And usually, hold on.
Just yawning.
I thought you were about to.
He's like, hold on.
When the content reflects back, it's gonna get woo-woo again. But that's when it reaches. I would say with most people, when it reflects back, it gets stuck in the ego somewhere, some sort of net. Look at the ego as like a net, and
Serious, like what?
And it's gonna place its own content on the reflected content, as in, or whatever their life is. My dad grew up saying, you know, hippies are, you know, lazy and dumb and silly. That gets caught in that ego net, like, hippies are dumb and silly.
Weed smoking makes you lazy.
Hippies do this, and other people do that. Even though you can have a guy with, like, you know, grew up on a farm, long beard and overalls and shit, but yet practicing the same exact ideas as a hippie, but you associate a hippie with this aesthetics, and a, whatever, hillbilly with this aesthetics.
And more grounded ideals, probably, rather than, yeah, we did it, man. Now let's go get corporate jobs. It's like, wait, what? No. I'm not saying they all did. I'm just,
So
it's like, where are you now? Where'd you go?
yeah, it's almost like a constant feedback loop.
Constant trend, too.
Constant feed of observer through the layers of, I would say, consciousness to the external, then the external reflecting back through the layers of consciousness. Usually they stop at the ego and just get stuck there, but they can layer back through. That's where the I like this or I don't like this come from. That's where that's where the I likes and I don't likes come from. If it gets caught in the ego, you can still have an innate feeling of, I secretly love hippies, but you never really say it to yourself. You never say it within your ego that way, but nonetheless the like is still there. If you let the content get down to the self, then the self is like, I like hippies. Maybe I like being a hippie, or I just like looking at them.
Sure.
They seem cool.
what I originally meant was like the environment provides like these select
Ooh.
things that are like so constant, you know, and you could have like your favorite thing, you know, based off what it provides, but you have your own reason behind it, you know, and it will never go away. Either what if we have all these things? What about now? It's like no, still my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I meant. Like it can influence. That's why I'm kind of ginger with the whole phrase of like, you know, like you're a product of your environment, Davon. Don't fucking leave me alone, man. It's like you know, stereotypically as people like would try to go. It's like if there's no meaning for behind what you like, then like you don't think you ever really liked it, you know, or not liked, but like your thing. You know?
Yeah. And if anyone asks if
it's like, you know, childhood favorite home, you know, everyone has like, you know, like a house, whatever the fuck. Well, not everybody, you know what I mean? Like your favorite thing, like a home. Like, oh, it's my childhood home. Like, what about this mansion? Nah, bro, I'll take that. I'll take the home. like if you liked it, that is, you know. Like, I'd take that over whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Any day.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Say I'm the greatest of all time. Go ahead.
He's the greatest of all time.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's not morality. That's not morality. Chomsky is trying to get at something different. This thing that Martin Luther King makes, the arc of history is long and it bends towards fairness. Now, the catch in that is kind of what Chomsky is getting at, that the arc of history, one thing after the next, women's rights, African Americans' rights, slavery, all of these things fell by the wayside and society moved into a different direction. The arc of history is long, but it bends towards fairness. Well, fairness in this case, I will make the case, is justice. Justice goes back to that other saying, no justice, no peace. People use that saying as somewhat of a refrain, but that refrain is more true than I think people realize. Going back to the time when people were first, let's say, evolving, whatever, you can look back and think of one change, one thing that a person needed to do, and that person needed to get their needs met. I need to find food, clothing, shelter, and something in order to make sure I can live and survive. And you would imagine that people in the beginning were just living on the edges, surviving, cavemen, whatever that, you know, I don't know the names, the Cro-Magnon man and all this other stuff. But you can understand that in the same way that we live our lives where we're taking on the traits of our families and we take on the traits of their families and their families and their families going all the way back, with permutations in the societies themselves and permutations in us and things that we accept. Those things create arcs. Now, going back to this idea of where did culture come from, I would argue that culture came from things that they had to do to get by and survive, meaning behaviors that were more advantageous than other behaviors.
Feels like we're grouping something together that we don't really understand.
Well, he already skipped over the moral question when read the culture. So, what creates morality? Cultures make morality. Okay, where does culture come from? And it's like, he sort of skipped over the moral question. That's that, whatever, presupposition thing. You haven't really established this idea yet. You made a leap at it, but you didn't really establish it. You skipped over it and went right to the next step. It's like skipping over understanding the ego and trying to understand the subconscious. Well, the ego is this, and then
I would have said
don't really have a solid grasp on it, and you just say, okay, now the subconscious. It's like, wait a minute.
it's like
Hey, you know that's not your ego. You haven't observed the ego fully yet.
hit a ball. You hit a ball. Grounding first. You just cut across onto the pitcher's mound. Grounding second. Wait, he's going out. It's at the park over. It's like, wait, motherfucker, you missed second base. No one gives a fuck. Yeah. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So you look at the rule books. Like, I'm not saying there is a rule book, but you know, as far as, sir, you second base. It's like, it's quiet. All right. He hit inside the park. It's like, yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna even disagree with the whole culture part. That culture, or you tried to establish that morality is based on the culture, and then it led him to the next step of culture is created by, basically he's saying like external experience, and that just goes back to what we said, nature versus nurture.
I mean, I would say like
I'm a product of my environment.
Well, yeah,
it goes right to that argument.
You would have an idea what I would mean. I'm like, well, let's see what you mean by that. Just like if someone said like you're more like your culture can have an influence on your morals. Yeah, if they're weak. Yeah, it's true. If you have weak morals, then you're not like absolute, like
if the
unbreakable.
culture has weak morals, or the individual.
I said if the culture itself can influence it.
Yeah.
You know, in such a way, whether it could be well, you know what I mean, like as far as morals that are unbreakable and the unbreakable ones that are like have a good understanding of what good is.
We'll get to the moral. He'll get to the moral.
I'm just saying
specifically.
But again, I didn't get anything with that. He didn't go into morals. He just.
Oh, what about culture?
Or that.
You just said that it's inherited from past generations.
Morality?
Culture.
Oh.
And they inherited their culture from the surrounding environments. As in, it wasn't raining, so people started doing rain dances.
Hey, it's kind of dry outside, man. Maybe you should 1-2 step out there and
People who make these arguments never go back to the core of what they're arguing about. They never even approach it.
You mean dancing around it, you mean?
It's like, well, what is doing a dance for rain? What is that?
It's a biological movement of like a tremendous amount of muscles and joints that counteract with them, and they contract and.
Well, look at the core of it. The core of it is surviving, right?
I mean, the core has the stabilizes everything.
Yes, that thing.
Yes.
We wanted to survive, so we're gonna dance to make it rain.
We're gonna pray to the ocean god so it doesn't.
Not strippers, but
We're gonna pray. My bad. We're gonna pray to the volcano god so it doesn't get angry at us and blow up and shit all over us. It's hot shit, Or we make sacrifices within the volcano to make sure its digestion calms down so it doesn't, shit on diarrhea all over us,
Yes, healthy diet.
Yeah.
Some nice grass-fed people.
We shall feed it our firstborn.
Right. So the core would be survival.
Yeah.
But that's not really the core.
Well, I'm going for what he was saying.
Oh, alright. But then there's a shell. The survival is more of like a shell for happiness and experience. Why do you survive? Oh, to experience things. There you go. As soon as
Intuitive. It's like something important's going on. Keep walking. Anyway, yeah, I try not to try to guess what he means, because then I'd be assuming.
I think he's laid it out pretty clearly there.
Well, I mean, like with just details,
Yeah.
That it wasn't necessarily this thing of I am moral. There were certain behavioral traits that allowed me and the people who I were around, my group, my tribe, to survive as opposed to not. I would argue individualism probably got people killed. There was something, a bear, a lion, that ate those people who wanted to be individuals as opposed to people who wanted to function at the behest of the group.
What?
That's not individualism. It's not.
That's what I mean. Like I don't like I don't know what that like. What do you mean by that then? Individualism. Well, oh man.
If James and a group of people stand over there, and I walk that way, that does not make me. It's not practicing individualism. Not
He's
exactly.
different. Oh shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my god.
God damn it, James.
My bad. My point was.
Fuck.
Did it really go off?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Oh, I'm so sorry, dude.
We good.
Alright. Well, anyway.
Group.
Nonetheless, a group of people doesn't determine your individuality.
I don't think he's saying that exactly.
Oh, no?
Fuck.
But anyway, he's not saying a group of people will determine your individuality or needs, survival.
He's saying that, well, you're less likely to, all the individuals back in the day were most likely killed because they didn't rely on group, whatever.
Dude, you can be an individual but be in a group.
Yeah.
It's like I was gonna say, and I'll be more careful and strategic this time. Okay, we need food. I know this is wrong, but for the better of the group, get him. Let's eat him. Bang, bang. It's like,
well, he's thinking someone wandering off on their own and getting eaten by animals rather than having a tribe of people with spears protecting each other.
oh, I mean, you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's for surviving.
Yeah, I mean, but
It's this thing.
there are. I guarantee you, there are individuals amongst like groups like that.
Oh yeah, they are. They have no choice but to be individuals. Honestly,
Well, they
But-
are and they aren't.
what I think he's doing and been doing and is gonna do is he's placing these internal metaphysical ideas and placing them on external things. As in,
Internal metaphysical ideas.
you can objectively see he's an individual because there's a group over here and he walked away from them. That means he's an individual. It's like, no. What makes him an individual isn't some sort of internal choice going on. It's not just him physically moving away from a group or the group he was born in.
Well, it's the fact that he is him.
It's the volition of that walk. I don't want to go that's romanticizing it too much.
Well,
but
it's like you are you, you know.
it's the intention when they walk away from the group.
Even if they stayed, you know. I
Yeah,
the argument
or they
would
could
be
stay
worse.
and-
Like, it's like the argument to be made is like, what is an individual? You know, I don't like. It's weird. So I don't want to simplify it because, like, you know, because I don't have to. I could dive in like deep with that as far as individuality. Like, what is it? Like, are you one and are you not one at the same time? You know. But in the end, it's like it's you. So.
That might be too much of a rabbit hole. People
Whatever.
care to listen to. Alright.
In the end, it's you, and that's different. You know.
So Jamarl, you skipped right over individualism and only judged it on an external observation. There's an individual. They're all wearing polo shirts, and he's in black and white with spikes in his hair. Individual. It's like, he could be dying to be in that group.
And there could be a guy in a group that just doesn't.
Is that individualism? What if they're shunned out? Is that an individualism? Yeah.
Maybe not desired.
I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Just you. He's an individual. Look at him.
Well, we have to understand what is an individual and maybe what the most probably not the desire, but the best type of individual maybe. Like, you know, like, are you truly independent as far as internally?
Would argue that the collective idea that Chomsky is talking about is morality, this working towards other people of the group, or what he would consider to be culture, was essentially created just from the very act of survival in the beginning, with one change after the next in regards to tools and technologies and understanding, leading to permutations in the way that society or those people evolved.
No.
The intermeshing of that, the smashing together of all these different cultures and the way that all of these different cultures were trying to survive, those are the things that essentially have come up to be the world that we have today. In the same way that I raise my family, and it's going to be some extension of the way I was raised, which was some extension of the way my mom was raised, which is some extension of the way that their parents were raised. That trend continues.
That's correlation, not truth.
It's just one long line of changes and permutations. The thing is, when you get to this thing of culture, though, I kind of want to nail home this point that what Chomsky is talking about is where did culture come from? Where did this stuff come from? I would argue those things came from just the basics of survival in a group when those civilizations were first created. And they were passing those things on as traits, understandings, lessons, things that you needed to know to survive and live.
Just like that Jimi Hendrix guitar solo. They go, whoa, bear.
No. It's angry mob. It's like, all right, I'll make pesto now. It's like, what? It's like,
even if the people were making, let's say, even if the people were making music to pray for rain or something, there's still some sort of innate thing going on
for your crops.
Yeah.
It's like, pray to the rain god, dance.
Like, why are you singing and hitting specific musical notes that we still use today? Why was that happening? It's like, why aren't you just all just grunting or something?
Grunting. So,
It's like, yeah, amongst all that fucking grunting shit, at some point someone hit a high note, and you're like, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
There's something different about that.
Well, then it can become
That'll
something
make
else.
it rain. That one right there. The one who can, the Mariah Carey that can hit that high note will make it rain.
But only you'll continue to with your voice, and you won't
Like,
you won't lip sync, right? Right? No, but it's also like, you know, the how things can, like, you know, not only possibly transcend, but like morph into something else. Like, okay, like we're not really dancing for it to rain, but we dance for it as far as like the festival or celebration or whatever have you. Like, the ceremonial thing, you know. It's like,
Yeah, ceremony on its own.
it's like, so, like, it was for survival, and it still is. It's like,
I'm gonna get a little extra woo-woo here, that I think people back then innately, not egotistically, but internally, innately knew that that shit didn't make it rain.
I mean, in here,
Yeah.
inside,
Yeah.
like an X-ray, it wouldn't show it. Hey, maybe.
I know people innately know this isn't gonna make it rain, but it sounds good.
That one guy that discovered mushrooms, like, it's already raining.
Tradition and ceremony.
Guy that found mushrooms, like, it's already raining, man. It's raining everywhere.
They might have wanted to express celebration or something.
That's
like
what I
that.
thought it was. I mean, it's but maybe not the whole heart thing. That shit. Maybe it's a different route. But anyway, it's like, I want to do this. Yeah. Again, I don't know if that happened. I was just, someone told me. That's all.
That might be it could be more of like a sense of control.
Probably.
I can control the God that I created in my head by doing these rules that I created, but that God created that of the God that I created.
And then
the rules that God created,
yeah,
of the God that I created.
Mm-hmm. It's like twisted.
Like little
But
feedback
then
loop.
out of the dead guy's chest, it's like you just see hands going like, come on. We'll show you who's a god. Come on. Down you go. Yeah.
Or the very least things that they needed to know to survive and live. It wasn't magic. It's not something that's necessarily ingrained or built into you. Yes, you may have certain structures that allow you to kind of, this little bit of code that allow you to, to spit out who you're going to be. But that will change radically depending upon the societies that you're in.
Once again,
274-711-274. Activate.
Once again, who you are is the language you speak, color of your skin, favorite basketball team, favorite baseball team, who you voted for, It's like, well, what else can we see? I can't see anything else other than what you vote for and, you know, what you say you like and...
You forgot one, Billy.
The colors you wear, the style of your clothes.
You forgot the one God that you serve. The God that you fear. It's like, bow down and give us money. Pay us. It's like, what?
Someone's like,
all right.
Who are you? I'm a janitor, man. That's your fucking job. Who are you?
Yeah.
I'm Bob. You didn't even make that name up. Your parents gave it to you.
I accepted
Who
it.
are you?
Then he's like, zipper pulls down. It's just there. He's like, I'm back again.
I'm gonna save that one clip. That one clip of Christian Murdy.
Yeah.
That you always quote. I can't
The
tell
clip?
you.
Oh, the clip. You motherfucker. You never told me. You're like, I don't know his name.
Oh, I told you to look it up.
Yeah, you said you're like this. You're like, look it up. So I'm being nasty today.
Yeah. Gotta learn sometime.
Oh, you did.
I found them somehow.
Yeah.
If I was born in South Sudan in the middle of a war zone and sold off as a child into this kind of bondage where I was told in a military childhood where I had to kill my own parents, what kind of person would I be? As opposed to sold, you know, with somebody who's an abusive parents, as opposed to living on Vulcan, as opposed to living in ancient Japan. Those things are radically different. The temperaments of those people are radically different.
Yes, but we can all understand suffering. So
Yes.
to separate them all based off of, well, they're all radically different levels, like tiers of suffering. It's like, yes, but it's all suffering, you know. So they'll shape you as a person. I'm like, it may influence your choices.
It's just more content for the self to play with.
That's what I meant to say, not influence choice. Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
it's like, let's say you're a kid. It's custom for everyone in the world to beat their kids.
hey,
Some are going to be on the stay strictly to the ego level to where they're suffering from anxiety and shit like that.
it's like that was
Anytime
said.
someone raises
Yeah.
a hand, they're like, ooh.
Yeah.
They don't actually see what it is. And the other people
Yeah.
who walk on the self level are like, yes, this darkened everything up, didn't it? This is my chance to express this. They'll become a hero, their own hero. I walked through this shit and here I am. Chamberlain? Champion? Possibly.
That's what you strive for. Yeah, I can definitely understand it. It's like it's being said without being said. Okay, everybody. Starting Monday, did you get the memo? You're gonna beat your kids if they do something wrong, because we're too weak to figure out what the problem or what could we solve this with. Nope, with your fists. Branches are acceptable. Belts, boxes, wooden spoons, and if you can afford it, and you can save money on this in the future, metal spoons. They bend them back into place. Hold out your hand. It's like, but again, well, that's why he's a bad person. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Yuck. And who I would be changed radically different. I'm just trying to make this point that this idea of morality is not necessarily ingrained. Those things are societal traits. And what Chomsky is talking about as this being this kind of ingrained thing is just items that were learned and passed on through ancient generations.
The content is what's passed on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's too late. My morals have changed.
I should just leave this here.
No, that's fine. Oh. What was I gonna say? That's fine, dude. Look, put it right here.
Just don't want it to fall off.
It won't.
Alright.
There. Batman Begins.
Good.
What's that? You got an idea of what was right and wrong? Let's see. He was gonna do the wrong thing. I'm not one of your good people, Rachel. It's like, we're doing the wrong thing, even though we know that we're doing the wrong thing. And now we know it's wrong. Rather than having an idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Human beings, this arc of history thing, this direction, reason we go in a particular direction is because there's certain agitating factors throughout society that push and agitate. We, society, is just like a person. For all intents and purposes, I would argue that society is just an extension of a human being. Media is our eyes, our ability to get things done as a collective is, for the most part, our will in our hands. Well, people don't like pain. And this idea of chaos is pain. No justice is pain. When you have people picketing, when you have crime, when you have people, blowing stuff up, setting things on fire, setting themselves on fire, wars, those things are pain. Those things are chaos.
I'm sensing the veil of ignorance is coming.
Yes.
Like, see, pain is bad because it hurts, and you don't want other people to have pain, do you?
Well, nah. Well, veil.
I was about to say, it reminds me of the golden rule.
It is the golden rule.
Yeah.
They just call it the veil of ignorance,
I know,
so they don't have to say anything religious
right.
out loud.
It's just tucking your cross into your neck. It's like, the veil of ignorance, guys.
I would argue in the same way that people scratch an itch and try to move towards less pain, society tries to move towards less chaos. That's not the hallmark of morality. That's the hallmark of people trying to move towards less chaos.
Should we do something really like this, where like
People want both, Jamarl.
people want what?
They want both.
Both what?
Chaos and order. They want both of them. They want...
Struggle.
If I had to guess, the ultimate thing they would want is control over themselves, but ever-changing world outside of them. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's exciting. Now, when you add pain to it, it's like, fuck, I could die tomorrow. It's fucking war zone outside. That's different. That's where morality comes.
Actually, I think it's always in play, but big decisions.
I would say pain is an extension of morality. As in, how would you know how to treat other people without the pain? Without the little kid touching something really hot, like, fuck. I wouldn't want that for someone else.
When I was little, right? And it's like those baby books, It's like 2 sentences on each page, Shows the kid for the first time touching the stove, and his hand's red, doesn't show the skin peeling off his hand or whatever the fuck. It's like, oh, my hand, it burns, ow. It's like, James can't touch that either. James isn't supposed to touch something that's hot.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And this one creeped me out. Little Richard, right? Singer, right? Talking about buildings on fire, singing, stop, drop, and roll. Stop. I'm like, fire bad, fire bad, fire bad. Then, birthday candle, fire, ow. So.
That's the content.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the content, fire happens to apply pain.
Go ahead, tell the animal thing. I'll save you. Ow, fuck. It works. Little possum on the side of the road,
Let's not.
Let's go there.
Sounds like that pertains to this exactly.
Oh, no?
I think it.
Morality, pain?
Yeah, but that's just talking about morality. I'm talking about why he's wrong about it.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Title of the video.
Yeah, pain is just content. Well, it's content and it's conflict that you use to make moral decisions. All of this is about expression. You already have these things within you of right and wrong and pleasure and pain, likes and dislikes, basically. And then you apply them to external things. It's like, okay,
My
I eat ice cream.
Yeah.
The pleasure buzzer goes off. Like, you like that? Something yelling from way beyond. You like that? That's good.
No. You like that? You like that?
Then you touch fire, and it's like, you don't like that.
Or, it's like,
or I kind of like those.
Yo, Stacy, what's up? Stick with that cigar. What?
There you go.
It's like, comes Palpatine. Do it. Do it. Step on my face.
Now, people that are going to say that, that's purely physical, as in there's physical sensation of ice cream tastes good, and physical sensation of fire hurts. Yes, there is, but at the same time, it's applying a like and dislike to it that is not physical. Just like the person who likes getting burnt with cigars.
This guy's like exercising for like that reason.
They can existentially turn pain into pleasure.
I love the pump. It's like versus I'm doing this because one, it's keeps me in shape. Two, it's gonna help me do whatever I want to do regarding whatever whoever has to give. It's like as far as football, golf.
Yeah, the guys are like, I like being just dead tired, slumped over, and then banging out one more rep.
Yeah,
it's like fucking world's against me, and then you fight back or something. Just an excuse to express something that of who they actually are.
The good part is when the world isn't against you. Then what?
LARPing.
Huh?
LARPing. Live action role playing.
Oh, okay.
Guys that pretend they're like, medieval knights and all that shit. Yeah. They're trying to express something.
I think it's cool.
Deep down, like somebody will come like, if you lived back then, you wouldn't like it because it's really people dying and all that shit.
People dying here, motherfucker.
But deep down, they're like, they have some like heroic thing they want to express.
Sure.
For some.
I like it. It's like those guys are probably more in tapping themselves. It's like, look at nerd. It's like, tell me something, Jack. Are you dead inside? It's like,
I would actually cross into Jordan Peterson thing.
I'm just kidding with that whole.
Well, that nerd could be like a fucking superhero deep down.
That's what I mean.
But, well, look at the football guy. He's way bigger than him. He's a superhero. Look at him. You can lift the car. He can't do that. It's like, no, but it's about meaning and intention and all that, and who you are. It's not dictated by your body. Thus all the cross-gendering going on. Which I think are baby steps for something healthy.
Sure. I mean, I think this is red flag by itself. Deep down, I've always been a man. What does it mean to be a man?
There you go.
And then it's like, or vice versa.
They might mean culturally this thing.
Sure. Like, well, I mean, I've always liked this type of thing ever since I was little. More feminine type of thing, But it was instead of this, instead of that. Okay, but what does it mean to be a woman, or what does it mean to be a man?
Yeah,
tell me. Then it's like okay, like you're not telling me. I think we're a little confused here. I think we're kind of going with the wave here. Even though you're definitely feeling something, I'm not saying you're not. What are we doing here?
Yeah, you're associating this with penis and this with vagina.
Sure, there's nothing wrong with like not being able to explain it, but not knowing yourself. Like like you could know something, you just don't know how to say. That's okay. That's why I kind of lean on metaphors or analogies sometimes. But go ahead. I got this. Go ahead. Ready? No.
There's a difference in those things.
I want to say it.
You may enshrine certain traits and cultural beliefs and cultural ideas and everything else, and you may consider those things to be morality, but those things are just things that were learned and passed on as ways to go about your way. If I sign a treaty with Russia, and I say I'm not going to put weapons in space, why am I doing that? You ever thought about that? Why did they do that? Why are they signing a treaty to get rid of nuclear weapons? Why are they signing a treaty not to use chemical weapons? They're doing that stuff because they look at it as, look, I don't want to spend a ton of money putting weapons in space. Now, if you don't spend a ton of money putting weapons in space, and I don't have to worry about you putting weapons in space, then both of us can at the very least agree that no weapons in space. That is a deal that we're making. That is not the countries being moral. Those are the countries working in their best interests.
Okay. Once again, a lot of your arguments are based on external phenomenon, and this is more evidence of that. Where you're looking at, first of all, you're looking at governments and our contemporary idea of politics and governments and shit. And these are leaders that are just, you know, we don't want to blow each other up, so let's not have nukes. Something like thinking like that. Or what about the fiscal year if you can't spend too much money on this? Like that's you being conditioned by this world, and then applying it to a metaphysical idea like morality.
Okay.
So let's take the scenario he used. We shouldn't have two governments agreeing they shouldn't put weapons in space for mutual interest. Okay, we don't want to blow each other up. Or if I put my weapon into space and you put your weapon in space, and I shoot at you, it's like naturally you're going to shoot back at me, and it's going to end up in both being destroyed.
Naturally. It's like, I can't do it.
So let's take the space weapons down. And it's nothing to do with morality. It's just mutual survival tactics.
And then I go back to...
Hold on. Now you take a little girl, just a normal little girl, 5 years old, lives on a farm. You take her out, attach explosives to it, and say, somewhere around the world, on the other side of the world, there's a little girl just like you. She may not look like you. She may not talk like you or sound like you. May even not even like the same things you like. But this will be her soon.
Yeah.
Just splattered everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Little
watch
kids.
that little kid cry her fucking eyes out.
Yeah. Like, why? No, why? Yeah.
What if people do things for the other person's survival, for not their personal interest? It's like, I want to preserve that person's life. Like, we shouldn't have this weapon because I could kill people with it.
Dark Knight.
I don't want to do that. As opposed to, I better not shoot this weapon because they'll shoot back.
Dark Knight. 2 ships. Civilians.
Yeah.
Prisoners. I'll do it. Fuck y'all.
Exact quote, by the way.
It's translation into a
Debo from Friday.
Debo's awesome. Debo. Imagine it's like he turns around and it says Debo. It's like, oh, Debo, you did it. Debo became a champion. But that's a perfect example, you know. Versus, well, we have to blow them up first. They had their chance, you know. They're prisoners. I'll do it. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Why? Well, it's not right. It's not the right thing to do, you know. Like, who are you, you know? And then one guy, probably the prisoner, had the best, like, you know, I got it.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. It's like a crab's in there. Just click. It's like, it's like, dude. Like, how do you know you didn't throw out the window, then it hit the side of like the ship?
I know. He's like, oh fuck.
It's like, you know, it's like ding, ding. Oh, it's like, fuck. Damn. Anyway, it's a perfect example of how do I describe this?
Well, you can even take the circumstances away from the little girl. Like, listen, no harm will ever come to you, period.
It's a lie.
Nothing's gonna hurt you.
It's a lie.
Hold on. The guy who's showing the tomato blowing up, nothing will happen to you. But this will happen to this little girl that looks just like her. That's just like you, but doesn't look like you and all that shit. She'd still be like, no. Like, no, that's bad, or whatever.
Well, yeah.
I don't want that. That innate empathy.
Versus eventual possible corruption.
Now, if you put a gun to her head, it's different. It's like, I'll do this to you unless you do that to her.
Right.
Then the kid might make a different decision.
Eventually, like,
That's,
you know.
That's another metaphysical thing, fear.
Then there's the whole corruption thing where it's like, you know, this, I call it golden, you know, it's such like a different color. In a way, as far as like when you look at it, as far as when there's meaning behind it, then there's someone could throw like a little bit of red or blue at it. Now it's not gold anymore, it's something else. That's okay. As long as it's true. But then there's, well, if it ain't me, fuck it. It's like, like, who told you that was okay? Or what made you think that? You know?
And you wonder why government leaders are the way they are. You should be the guy begging for morality in politics. The two governments that are putting lasers in space,
Well,
and they're like, I don't want to shoot this because they'll shoot us back and then we'll both die. I'm ensuring my survival. But if I could shoot them and they couldn't hit me back, I'd probably do it. It's like, those aren't the people you want around anyways.
morality, empathy, and
As far as in places like in
as far as
government places.
the
like
pillars of morality that are definitely unbreakable, which means they're just.
Yeah, you want the person who's like, I will never put a laser weapon in the fucking space because I don't want to hurt anybody with it. Now, if it's shoot meteor, what do you call it, asteroids away or whatever, cool. But I wouldn't use it.
No, it's already implied because of the morality. You know?
Yeah. Alright.
I would argue that each of these events, be it slavery, be it women's rights, or workers' rights, kind of fall under the same thing.
It's gonna be like an hour long.
The North had industry. They didn't need slavery in this way. And the arguments that were being made from the standpoint of getting rid of slavery, do you really want your workers competing with slaves? I understand that there would be some people who internalize these ideas that are passed in from the standpoint of these cultural ideas, in which case they would not like slavery because they would look at this stuff as being, okay, this is this is not right, this is dishonest and everything else. Those are cultural ideas, however, that were internalized to the individual. But again, those cultural ideas, I would make the case, came from those cultures or the early origins of those cultures. All of these things, none of these things per se, are issues of morality. All of these things are issues of a society trying to be in less pain. It's society moving in a particular way.
Basically, it's a veil of ignorance debate or argument.
Just like it. I don't think he believes in it really. You know.
They want to move towards less pain. And how do you have less pain? You make sure you don't hurt them, or they'll cause pain to you.
I would argue that maybe I don't think he really believes in that. Yeah.
I think he's trying to make an argument, but falls short to me.
So you always pause the video and they're got a weird, awkward face going on. It's like,
Sorry, Jamarl.
it's like looks like my high school, my senior year photo. Close my eyes.
The arc of history is long, it's been towards fairness. And in this case, fairness, justice, is less pain, less chaos, less picketing.
Fairness and justice.
Fairness is, what you said? Fairness is justice?
No, fairness and justice. Just like
Justness?
Justice.
Justice.
It's like,
well, we cut off my arm, cut off his arm. It's like, what?
no, justice.
No.
That's a moral.
I know, but it's right? Thief steals bread, alright? Take away your hand. They'll teach you. It's like, what?
Justice is taking moral authority.
Sure. Now is it?
And there's fucking superheroes. All the Justice League.
Yeah, too bad they don't fucking get it.
They're expressing morality straight up.
Like
Same thing as fairness.
What
does that mean?
You're threatening the girl I love. Let me fucking put you through 3 walls. That dude's dead. Probably.
And there would be no such thing as fairness if we're all just conditioned from ancestors and all that shit. And there is no progressing past that. We just are who we are, and there is no fairness anyways. So that point's bunk too.
Like, fuck.
Yeah, whatever.
Less bombings, less people standing outside being, obtuse, less people showing signs and flying Trump babies, less chaos. Your society moves towards less chaos. I'm making a case here that it's not that morality is internal or inherent. Morality, to some degree, is emergent. I would even argue it doesn't exist at all. Ultimately, those things are cultural phenomena, cultural artifacts. They're good cultural artifacts, especially since they are advantageous. They are environmentally advantageous. My safety is ensured when you're safe, and vice versa.
No. Hey, you're going to have to prove that you don't exist yourself. You're going to have to sit down with a book, write down all the equations, find all the neuroscientists, philosophers, whoever, and prove that you do not exist. In order for any of that to hold up. Period.
I'm currently trying to find the Philosopher's Stone. And is it difficult?
I've heard the idea before. Never really looked into it.
It's funny. Also, my safety, for my safety, like, you know, my safety, your safety. It's like, are we sick? Like, again, maybe, like, you know, I'm not sure exactly what he means. You know,
I think he,
like, what he truly.
From what I just said, it'll take you forever to prove it doesn't exist. It'll take, depending on your learning curve, whatever amount of time for you to learn that you do exist.
It's like,
that is an actual thing that can happen. Proving you don't exist will take forever. And it'll just keep going. And you'll have to throw in a shitload of presuppositions to get there. You'd have to make some large leaps of assumptions.
We get philosophical.
Well, we are just, matter. We're just...
We can get philosophical in this bitch, yes. Who are you?
We're just cells and atoms and neurons and brains and body parts.
Like,
that's all we are.
It's like, who are you, man?
You have to do that.
Who are you? Is that your favorite shirt?
Right, go prove that.
Is that your favorite shirt, kid? Or is that somewhere? Is that in? Is that in demand? Is that where you're wearing it? Is that your favorite music, or you just play because it's on the radio? Who are you?
Yeah.
Do you exist? What are you? You don't exist. What's going on? It's like you do and you don't. But, you know what I mean. That's why I said philosophical. It's like, we could go this route. What now?
Only a little bit more. Then
we
that's enough ammo for him.
Then we die.
If he ever listens to this, enjoy. Make a rebuttal if you have to.
I enjoy his political discussions,
Yeah, he's pretty good on politics.
Yeah.
Same way that I say, hey, let's cut down on the amount of nuclear missiles because I am safer when you have less nuclear missiles, and I make the same decision. In the same way that they are safer when I don't have weapons in space. I'm safer when they don't have weapons in space.
Once again, little girl, blow a tomato up. We're gonna do that to some other girl on the other side of the world. You won't be harmed in any scenario with this. Nothing will come back to you. Nothing will hurt you.
Lying to a child. But...
Do you want to do that? It's like, why?
What?
Like, all right, we're just gonna do it.
It's like the kid crying because the kid that, like, it's like, teacher, they're stepping on ants. It's horrible. When the ants didn't do anything to them, it's not right. It's like, where did that go? Now we're launching missiles out of flying planes.
See, it's advantageous for the kid to step on the ants because they'll have, guts and shit all on the bottom of their feet.
Right.
It'll have a stickier surface, so when they play dodgeball, they'll win at dodgeball, and then all the little girls will remember that one kid and be like, oh, that's the kid that was good at dodgeball. Yes. And they'll grow up into high school and they're like, oh, that's the guy, that's the man, all the girls like him. Then I'll stop there. It's advantageous to step on ants.
The rooster of the bunch.
That's not an issue of morality. I'm making a point that many of these things can fall under the same umbrella of these unconscious, non-explicit agreements that people make that we consider to be culture.
Also,
get under the umbrella, Jordan. Hurry.
Also, this is you. If you really believe this is you jumping off the board. Like I said, it's like jumping on the board of conflict in order to make moral decisions of right and wrong, which is basically saying likes and dislikes. That's what saying what right right and wrong is. It's an existential expression of what I like and what I don't like. But this is you jumping off the board and and basically saying there is no likes or dislikes. There's just a set rule that survival is the way to go. Period. Point blank. There's no reason to like or dislike about it. It's just survival. That's the number one.
Ready? Tryouts.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Well, you have to ask yourself, why do you survive? Or why would you care to survive?
What would you do to survive?
Like, I like life. Like? That's not rational.
Well,
Like isn't rational because you don't exist.
Fuck.
Well, you don't exist, so liking something can't exist.
Then all of a sudden,
And in these
Wormhole.
non-explicit agreements that we make, that we consider to be culture,
black line.
we find ways of less chaos.
No,
That's what I think.
No, Jamal. And I'm sure there's couples that argue on purpose. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously they're like, this would make today pretty interesting.
It's like, let me drop an anvil.
Why hadn't you?
Then there's the pain thing. It's like, let me just drop an anvil on my foot. That'll get me off.
Yeah.
Ah, you broke my window, you two fucks. That felt good.
I'm gonna jump off an airplane with a parachute and skydive.
Can't hold it. Bathroom.
I'm gonna go skydiving and
Pulling the Rogan's guest thing.
just the threat of death is just thrilling to me. Yeah, fuck him.
That's my argument. I think that is just as valid as this idea of internal morality, per se.
So is Gremlins with invisible ropes pulling you back down to the earth and us calling it gravity. Thank you for Asahabi. Go watch that shit. Joe Rogan for Asahabi. Go watch that shit.
This stuff is learned. This stuff is learned. Let's see. Who's here? And let's see if I made the argument. Chomsky, as an anarchist, refuses to count...
Alright, I don't want to hear this. Let's see. Hour and 20 minutes. Alright, I guess that's it. I mean, I would love for him to respond, but most people don't. Either they don't understand the argument, and I think he said at the beginning of this video that I don't expect a lot of people to watch this, so if I fuck up, it is what it is. And it's like, why aren't more people into this stuff? It's like, if you're trying to find out, let's say you're talking about nuclear proliferation, or ending nuclear wars, or getting rid of nuclear bombs and shit. Like, you should be asking why. It's like, well, so we all live and survive. It's like, why? Like, well, it's not... They go through steps, right? There's the nuclear bomb, and there's surviving. And it's the why are you surviving? It's like, well, living's better than dying. It's like, why is living better? Oh, because you get to experience these things, and then on, to where it gets to the base thing, which I would say is the self, the individual, understanding who they are, and using all this content to teach themselves that. If you never jump on the game board, as I say, then you never really, you never get a chance to learn and express these things, and they end up the way Jamarl's talking about, which is, it's more causal. It's more of just a cause and effect. It's more of just biological surviving habits or evolutionary cycle. It's like, it's more than that. Yes, there's evidence. You just have to look into it. Alright. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. And